Hello everyone, happy holidays to you and your families, and if you aren't celebrating anything, who cares? Happy Monday. So, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and we're going to look at Golem as well because it's up on my screen, so might as well look at it. It's been a very slow past couple of days. Very clearly, we are on a holiday, and we're seeing that effect on the price, and there's not a whole lot of volatility going on, which is really nice for those of us who are looking for a break away. We're not really missing much at this point. I haven't really traded the past couple days, and that's just because I haven't wanted to force anything. I've saw the different environment. There was a thinner bid and ask spreads, so it was a little bit more difficult to scale in and out of positions, and it was just a different trading environment. And I want to remind people that this kind of liquidity and this kind of, well, maybe not this kind of liquidity, but at least this kind of volatility is going to be the norm someday, whether that's in 6 months or 3 years, who knows? But there's going to come a time where this much volatility is a normal day, and it's really going to become less attractive for day traders. And at that point, we'll switch our style to more swing trading and hopefully have other instruments to be trading these cryptocurrencies. And keep in mind that with ETFs, eventually we'll have leveraged ETFs, which means if we have an ETF that moves 1% tick for tick with Bitcoin, then we'll have a leveraged ETF for 3% that'll magnify that move by 3%. At this point, space is still way too volatile for that to be a thing, but once we do have a little bit more tame volatility, that will be a possibility. So Bitcoin, we are still consolidating. We're forming an inside bar on the daily time frame right now. This is going to close in a couple of hours, so we will have a daily inside bar to be watching here into our next day, which will be Tuesday for most people, the 26th. We're forming that 4-hour equilibrium pattern we've been looking for ever since the bounce got started. We hit our top of the bounce, and let's put our resistance line right there. We pulled back and we hit our low of consolidation, and not sure why the lines are yellow, but we're going to leave them that way. Now we have our lower high with the high of today and just a tightening range. You can see the candlestick range getting smaller and smaller. I'm looking at support of 13,210 and resistance of 14,774. So where we stand right now, we are closer to resistance than support by a couple $100, giving the bulls a slight edge. We have multiple inside bars, it looks like. Double bottom at 14,000 and a lower high. So an inside bar to be watching on the 4-hour time frame that's going to break shortly. The range is 14,000 to 14,400. And if we zoom into the hourly time frame, that's where we can get our more detailed information. There's the range we just drew on the 4-hour time frame. And if we tighten that up, we can have our inside bar on the 4-hour time frame range. So it shows it getting even tighter. So where we stand right now on Bitcoin, watching the 4-hour inside bar for a break, then going to be watching the 4-hour equilibrium pattern for a break as we head into the start of the week. Checking Litecoin, very similar pattern. Inside bar on the daily time frame about to form, 4-hour time frame, and a whole lot of support and resistance lines to get out of the way. But it's really just the low of the dump, the high of the bounce, our higher low of consolidation. And again, the correlation between all of these names are very strong. Ethereum has clearly taken the lead in terms of the strongest name out of these four. We'll look at how we can know that in just a moment. But here's our range right now on Litecoin. Support is 254, resistance is 287.40. Inside bars are just breaking bearish on the 4-hour time frame. So we'll see if Bitcoin's about to break 14,000 for its bear break on the 4-hour time frame. So inside bar just broke bearish. We're looking for a pullback and a higher low to form compared to 254. And for this 4-hour equilibrium pattern range to tighten up, again, look at the volume. Volume is just non-existent. We're looking for this pattern to tighten up into tomorrow. And I would say by tomorrow, we have clearly been noticing a pattern where morning on the East Coast United States, we do usually see some bullish volume. And that is around 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern, which is conveniently when I am waking up for the day. And that's the reason that we have so many people doing that. So that's where I will be looking for a break to occur tomorrow morning, perhaps in about 14 hours. It's about 5 p.m. Eastern right now. But again, it'll be very clear when this pattern does break as we continue to tighten up until then. Hourly chart. A little bit more details. We could pick out a resistance here at 280. There's a support at 272 and 261.52. So hourly time frame gives more details, but again, I'm not actively trading right now, so I'm just watching and monitoring this 4-hour pattern, which has been the case for the past 2 days, anticipating that higher low to form yesterday and now looking for this lower high. So Ethereum clearly the lead bull. Look at that daily candlestick. It's not an inside bar because we got a bull break already. We look at the 4-hour time frame, and its equilibrium pattern is still an equilibrium pattern, just like everybody else, but we came a lot closer to resistance breaking, and we've also pulled back a lot less significantly in terms of forming a new higher low. So we have our low of the dump, high of the bounce as resistance. Then we have our higher low, and let's just use these different colors here to stay consistent. So yellow higher low and yellow lower high. So the range right now, 640, 114 support, 760 resistance. And the top of this bull move is 775. So 775 resistance, 760 resistance. The 4-hour inside bar already got a bull break. There's another difference between the two. But the break really got going down here yesterday, where we had inside bars get the bull break. And if you were looking at 4-hour inside bars, you got a bullish signal at 689. And it's been really nice with the alert system. Just a day of rest where it's not going off crazy all the time. But these are some of the alerts that would still be sent out at this point. So an inside bar bull break on the 4-hour time frame, 689 was the break. And you can see over the next 16 hours, we went up to the 750, 760s. So an incredible move for just a slow and steady follow through after that signal. And let's look at the 15-minute time frame at when it became clear that the bulls were stronger than Bitcoin. So here's Bitcoin's bounce from the higher low that formed on the 4-hour time frame. And by the time we got a bull break from there, it really just occurred. And we look at Ethereum on the 15-minute time frame, and the bull break to a higher high occurred right back here. And that was December 24th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, just about 8 o'clock p.m. And we look at Bitcoin, and to break that same high, it took all the way until this morning. So almost a 12-hour head start for the Ethereum bulls to get that break and continuation and still be in a very strong pattern. And look at this 4-hour equilibrium pattern for Ethereum. If we break bullish and get over 775, the all-time high is right here at 875. And a 10% move from the all-time high is certainly not much if we get a bull break and have the momentum going in favor of the bulls. Ethereum is set up to be the next all-time high out of all these names. Now, there's been times where we see the correlation break and one name stand out before the rest, and then that name slows down and the other names catch up, and it really didn't matter that it broke out earlier. That has happened in the past, so that is a potential possibility. Or if we stay step for step with this correlation, that means we have a head start as bulls, and we will see a bullish break long before Bitcoin and Litecoin get their bullish break. So going to be very close and going to be watching very close, and because of this setup, I likely will be playing Ethereum early this week because of the proximity to an all-time high, and that means the traders will be more likely to be looking to that name because of that fact, and myself being one of them, a perfect example. So that's what we're keeping an eye on for now. If we want to zoom in the hourly time frame and get a closer support, 712.47 is an important support, and looking at that 760 resistance. Bitcoin Cash, inside bars forming on the daily time frame, second inside bar in a row, and the 4-hour time frame getting very tight. We have our low of consolidation down at 2,669, and our high of this bounce is 2,968. So a tight channel to be watching. There's our high of the bounce and our low of the dump, and clear channel. So again, 2,669 support, 2,968 resistance. Inside bars on the 4-hour time frame have yet to break. Bitcoin and Litecoin broke bearish from this pattern, and Ethereum, actually Bitcoin hasn't broken yet, but Ethereum broke bullish, and here we are close to a bear break, but not a whole lot going on. Volume consistently dropping off. Very hard to trade BCH, especially with decent sized positions. In terms of entering and exiting, it's very, very thinly traded, and there's a ton of slippage. The gains have been nice. It is one of the higher risk, higher reward gains, and I would be playing it for that reason if the slippage wasn't so high. There's been times where I've literally had my buy order filled out, and I have decided against it because of that difficulty scaling in and scaling out of positions. So ETH is my horse for right now. That could change with the setup tomorrow morning, but as of right now, I'm having my full attention on ETH, and we'll be looking to make our way back up towards 800 and the all-time high if we get a bull break of this 4-hour equilibrium heading into tomorrow morning. Checking in on GNT, the bulls have made a very nice recovery. This is the daily time frame where we saw the bull move to all-time highs. We dumped with the market, and now we've made a very significant recovery, just breaking the inside bar bullish. And you can see on the 4-hour time frame, coming off of that all-time high, we've made a very significant recovery, but we are still in a bit of an equilibrium pattern. And how to see that is with the high, the low of the dump, the high of the bounce, higher low, and we still haven't broken the high of the bounce yet. We're right up there. So that resistance is 723, and we got up to 707. So bulls are creeping their way forward, and it's more of a situation where it's similar to Ethereum, where we're close to a bull break, and much closer to a bull break of this 4-hour pattern than Bitcoin and Litecoin, even though we do have a correlation to Bitcoin very clearly. Gollum has been following, and we're looking for a new all-time high in the near-term future, especially if we get a bull break of these 4-hour equilibrium patterns. I would look for Gollum to get an all-time high first, then Ethereum, and then on down the line, we'll check out those other names. So some decent setups. At least it's a very clear pattern as there's not much going on. There'll be a likely volume spike tomorrow morning. Let's see if the East Coast waking up and getting back into it now that Christmas is over is a potential signal, and going to be watching for that volume to show up and clear 4-hour equilibrium patterns. Check out the alert system if you haven't done so yet. Going to continue working on it in 2018 and going to be adding a whole lot of more usability in terms of features on the website and things like that, along with just the alerts. And we're always working on different alert indicators to add as well. We'll have a couple of those in store for the first quarter of 2018. I appreciate you all watching and hope you have a wonderful rest of your long weekend. We'll see you tomorrow.